Welcome back. In this tutorial we're going to cover the hole feature. So what I'm going to do is get started with a 2-point center rectangle for a solid base. Let's make it 6 by 3 and we'll shoot it to a thickness of 1 inch. Okay, so specifications came out for this project and we have to put a hole into it. A hole is a round lack of material. So we're going to go ahead and sketch on here, and we are going to put a projected geometry, and then we're going to put a point on here and one on the other side. We're going to make a symmetric constraint between those two and my middle plane. This is why it's important, why I keep preaching, if it's symmetric, make it symmetric. Okay, so let's do with a spacing center to center of 4 inches on those two. That's it. That's all we need. Now we're going to click the hole feature. Now this is what we call a placed feature. Okay, so let's imagine for a second that I did not create this sketch. I could still use the hole feature without the sketch. Okay, so we're going to start off though using my sketch. So hole, it automatically selected my 2 center points because it knows what it's looking for. So if we start working with our dialog box top to bottom, position 2 selected, it automatically picked those 2. Now if I didn't want one, I can hold the control button and then pick that center point and unselect it. But I want that one, so we're going to go ahead and reselect it. Now notice that my holes are the same size. So starting top to bottom, we're going to go through our options here. So we've got hole with a simple hole. We've got a clearance hole. And a clearance hole is a hole that is going to provide clearance for a specific sized bolt or machine screw. So if we select that, we get some fastener options here in our dialog box of what size screw do we have. So let's say we have a hex head bolt and that's a 1/4 20. It's going to tell me that for a 1/4 20 to have a normal fit, I need a 0.266 inch diameter hole. And then I can go to a close fit or I could go to a loose fit, and it will change those based off of my selection. So all I have to know is the type of bolt that's going to go through, and that will take care of it for me. Now I can say I want a tapped hole, and that fastener is going to stay the same, except what's going to happen is it's going to size it for a tapped hole. So what size hole would that need to be for, let's say we have a 1/4 inch, 1/4 20, and then it's going to size everything for me. And then a taper tapped hole is the same as a tapped hole. It's just going to add a taper to it. So that's going to give me some other options for different type of fittings that I'm going to use. So let's go back to a simple hole. And now let's talk about seats. This is why you never, ever, 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 ever want to just draw a circle and extrude it as a cut to make it a hole. So let's just hit OK real quick here. You know what? Let's change our diameter. Let's make this a 0.5 inch diameter hole. Now you're saying, well, okay, that's great. But I can also come in here, draw a circle, 0.5 inch diameter, and extrude that as a cut. Boom, done. What's the difference? Right now there is no difference. But what could the difference be? Well, let's look at it. So if I double click my hole to edit it, and I look at my seat options, this is where the difference comes in. Counterbore. So this is used for, say, a round head machine screw that you want to sit recessed down in so that the top is flush and you don't have interference with your bolt head. Here's a spot face, and here's a countersink. Those are used with countersink screws. You cannot turn this extruded circular cut into this countersink at all. It doesn't work. So I know you're thinking, well, if it's just round and I know it's not going to change, then why should I make it a hole? because it's good practice. It gets you into that habit. Customer calls up and says, oh, you know what? I need that hole to be a counter bore. And you say, okay, boom, done. Counter bore, done. Get it off to the shop, they can machine it. Or you send them a new print so that they can approve it. Whatever the case is. So we want to make sure that if it is a round hole, that it needs to be a hole feature. Okay? So coming back in here, for our counter bore, we've got different options as far as our counter bore diameter, our counter bore depth, and then our diameter of our through hole. And then on a counter sink, we've got the angle and the top diameter, and then the clearance diameter through here. Now these can also be tapped. So let's say that I wanted to do a counter bore for a flathead machine screw, and that's going to be a 1/4 inch. That will give me all of my numbers that I need, so that all I have to do is click OK, and now I know that everything will fit when this part has been fabricated. That's going to do it for hole. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next video.